Hey, Newsa-Cast listeners. Just want to give you a little information about the mission of the Newsa-Cast. Our mission stems from the mission of the Red Smith Banquet, and that mission was to support youth sports in the Fox Valley. Over the 57 years of its existence, we've been honored to give out over $1 million to various youth sports organizations throughout the Fox Valley. The Newsa-Cast is looking to continue that mission and support youth sports as well. You can help us do that by donating to the Newsa-Cast and the Red Smith Sports Banquet.
On today's Newsa-Cast, Tosh and I have a fantastic interview with a local fella, Ver Voort. Dale started a brand new magazine back in the fall of Fox City Sports. It's everything local, it's glossy, it's beautiful, it's awesome. Tosh and I take an old look at new, which is brought to you by Raleigh Winter and Associates. Our Red Smith Banquet Throwback brings us to 1991, Miami Dolphin, Larry Csonka. Tosh and I end the show like we always do with a little It's Forgotten and a Never Forgetting. So what do you say, folks? Let's get this show on the road.
Gannett had 10 newspapers, but since they consolidated all 10 of those papers down to the Milwaukee office, all the locals coverage kind of went away. That's why in doing this magazine and hearing especially the parents say that, how great this is, like nobody does this anymore. And, that kind of makes me feel really, really warm and fuzzy on the inside.
Welcome to the Newsa-Cast. What is a Newsa-Cast? It's where we bring local folk stories to life through conversation.
All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, welcome to another episode of the Newsa-Cast. We're super excited. We took that little break, but we're back and we're excited, and we got another great episode for everyone.
Hey, from the sturgeon spearing capital of the world, right, Tosh?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an exciting weekend for Northeast Wisconsin as far as sturgeon spearing. Lots of people out there. They had a little snow to deal with this year, but I heard the fourth largest sturgeon on Lake Winnebago was speared this weekend on opening day, 180 pounds, 79 inches. Yeah, crazy.
That is just nuts. Isn't it how old they are? And it's incredible. I mean, they're a couple hundred years old, some of them.
Yeah, they run anywhere from 100, 150. That one at 180 pounds is over 100 years old for sure. So that's pretty crazy to see that. And if you haven't seen that, go out to the weigh stations and check out those fish coming in. It's amazing. It's a recreational capital here of Northeast Wisconsin, and we're out there swimming. And to imagine that there are fish that big swimming underneath your feet is pretty crazy.
It's nuts. Yeah, it's nuts. And they've been swimming here for multiple lifetimes. Yeah.
They're a prehistoric fish, meaning they have not changed since prehistoric times. So we have a great fishery here. It's probably the most successful sturgeon fishery in the entire world. We have people that come from all over the world to see what the DNR has done and how we maintain the numbers. And it's awesome. It's fascinating to me. Really, really cool stuff. So good luck to all those people who are out for the duration. We'll see if they make it all the way or if they have some success and shut down the season early if they meet their numbers. So,
yeah, it's always kind of cool to watch. And you know what else is cool, Tosh, is our guest today, Ver Voort.
Yeah.
Got to meet him. Fox City's sports magazine, an incredible glossy magazine.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure it's at one of your local establishments. And they do a great job. They've kind of taken over for that newspaper. You're going to hear in the interview. That was kind of Dale's goal, but taking over for that newspaper and highlighting exactly what we've always talked about, highlighting our athletes and our programs here in the Fox Valley and Northeast Wisconsin, and giving you a little insight into some of these individuals who are in high school, in youth sports, coaches, parents, all that kind of stuff.
It was fascinating, wasn't it, Tosh? I mean, Dale's doing kind of what you and I set out to do in a different form. I mean, his background is in publication. We don't really have a background in this other than we're just interested in it. And of course, the Red Smith Banquet really is the driving force of this. But yeah, it was kind of cool. He was talking about the content, and you and I, it's content is interesting, isn't it? It's a little bit. It sounds great. It's a lot of fun, but sometimes it's difficult to keep that content sieve open.
Yeah, it is difficult. That's why we probably had a little hiatus, just to make sure things were in the right place.
Someone said that, yes.
Yeah, I like the word hiatus.
Hiatus.
But yeah, it's going to be fascinating. If you have not checked out that magazine, please check it out. The new magazine, new edition just came out this past week. So go check that out as well. And Dale's going to talk a little bit about that in his background in the interview. But besides that, Joe, what's been going on in your world?
Beavis and Butthead, did they go on a hiatus?
Yeah, they did, and they're back.
Tosh and I were big fans of Beavis and Butthead back in the day.
Everybody was big fans of Beavis and Butthead.
So good.
How can you forget Cornholio?
Cornholio, indeed. Yes. Well, one thing, Tosh, that is exciting is we're gaining some sunlight. I think we gain, is it 70 minutes in the month of February? 70 or 80 minutes.
It's crazy. It's nice that it's 5:30 at night and it's still light.
Yeah, and it's true. I was thinking about that.
Thing.
I was thinking about that today. So it's that to me, it's the light at the end of the tunnel for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, absolutely. You wake up in the dark and you see the day, and then you are still delivering in the dark. So it'd be nice to just deliver in the light. Well,
Tosh, one of the things Dale highlights is local sports, and it's with the NFL season's over with, a heck of a Super Bowl, but high school sports, basketball. There's a lot of great teams again. I mean, the FVA is stacked both on the girls and boys side. Hockey. I mean, you know, Big E, he's in the middle of that, but high school hockey is full go. So it's high school sports are, again, we're right. And this is the sweet spot now for winter sports.
Yeah. You know what? We have a lot of the conference tournaments taking place over the next week. I know wrestling had the FVA conference tournament at Appleton East on Saturday. So, as soon as we get out of those conference tournaments, we have like a week, and then we start our regionals and sectionals and make our road to the state finals. Hockey is going to be looking at that soon. Basketball will be. We've had some, important games at the end of the season here. Neenah and Oshkosh North battled on Friday night. Oshkosh North coming out on top, which is that FVA. It's pretty crazy. There's like 8 teams that can beat each other any given night. So really strong teams in that FVA right now for boys basketball.
I have to take my own advice and get to a gym. Neenah, Appleton North, Kakana, some of those teams, they're good. Oshkosh North. I know you've mentioned him before. Who's the kid? He was just on the news, just lights it up for Appleton North or Oshkosh North. I'm sorry, Oshkosh North.
Oh, that's Zay Mitchell. Yeah, he's fantastic. Going to Iowa State. He has been lighting up. I believe at one point, just with, I don't know if it's changed, but he was the number 2 scorer in the state. So he's averaging like 38 points a game in conference. It's unbelievable. So yeah, fun to watch. Absolutely fun to watch, or fun team to watch. And I think they're going to get their stride, and they're going to make a run here, hopefully, towards state for sure.
How is attendance at Oshkosh North when they have a home game? Do kids go to games?
Absolutely. It's packed. It's a good crowd. We got a good student section. We have, it's fantastic. So yeah, good atmosphere in the field house. It's a great place to watch a game for sure.
Yeah, that is a nice field house. Yeah, there is nothing better really than a Friday night. I know they play every night, but high school basketball when the gym's packed, the band playing, love it.
Yeah,
Tosh.
Yeah, and you know what? Like we said, there's so much going on, and anytime, any Friday, Tuesday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays seem to be a lot of games. These games are at the end of the year are very important to seeding. So you're going to see some good basketball. You're going to see some good wrestling. You're going to see, whatever you choose to go check out. It's absolutely fantastic. This is an important time of the year for all of these teams and all of these young people who are playing, and they're looking to do some things and get ready for the playoffs. I mean, the season is winding down, and it's time to make that run. And they're getting to that point where they're ready, and they're going to show what they can do. And maybe somebody's going to have a Cinderella season and make a run at the state title. You never know. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, Tosh. You never know. I go to watch the officiating personally.
There you go. You have that officiating blood for sure.
I do. Well, Tosh, anything else new in your world?
You know what? I just, just hanging out, enjoying the hockey season, and looking to see the next couple of weeks, and then all those the state tournament and the playoffs and sectionals and everything start going. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see the Adaptive Sports League this Wednesday. They play at Oshkosh North, I believe, plays Oshkosh West in floor hockey. So I'm going to watch the Adaptive Sports League on Wednesday at Oshkosh North. So that'll be fun right after school gets done. And that is a blast to see. It's like so inspiring. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So about yourself, Joe, what are you looking at?
Yeah, just looking at myself, Tosh, in the mirror and the monitor. No, now we're just delivering mail, catching a little bit of music. There are some great shows all over the place. We talk about them all the time, but Appleton Beer Factory, Poplar Hall, Yonder Mountain String Band's coming soon. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a great show. But there's every bar and restaurant around. Gibson's, great shows. Follow the social media. There's a ton of great links to follow. Listen to us. But just literally any Friday, Saturday,
right,
Sunday afternoon, there's music everywhere. Northland Pub, and the Ale Hop House up on Northland. Hop Yard. There you go. Yeah, they sometimes have place. Sunday afternoon. Right. Sunday afternoon they'll have music.
Do. Yeah, they usually have some local people. Acoustic guitar in themselves playing. It's fantastic. They have great beer. They have fantastic pizzas, wood fire pizzas. Hop Yard is one of my favorite places to go.
I haven't been there yet. I need to.
Man,
Tay in the Neighborly. I've seen her now a couple of times. Absolutely love her. Yeah, I think she's playing there sometime in the next couple of months.
All right. Yeah, I would go check it out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. Amelia Ford, that's another one too to check out. She's really good as well. So I don't think I told you this, Tosh. I saw her. I saw her at Misfits. Yeah. Okay. I don't know the name of this place, but Jacob's Meat Market. There's a little coffee shop right next to that.
Okay.
2 places to the north. Between that coffee shop and Jacob's, there's this old house. And I guess it's a community house now because Amelia Ford and a couple of other people played acoustic. So I literally sat in this old 1920s Victorian house in the living room while Amelia Ford strummed and played her guitar literally 5 feet in front of me. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. That was a couple of weeks ago.
Nothing better than a house show.
Yeah, it was nuts. But they have a meditation in this house. They have all sorts of things. So I'm not sure what the deal is, but it was really cool.
Well, you have to figure out what the deal is.
Yeah, I guess evidently I do.
That sounds like a good place. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. I do know the deal with this podcast, this episode, Tosh. It's with Dale Ver Voort, and you and I are going to keep this show going, keep this train on the tracks, keep this, whatever the saying is. We're going to keep going forward, Tosh.
Sounds good.
It's that time again, once again, for an old look at new, brought to you by Raleigh Winter and Associates, celebrating 55 years. Did you know that in 1962, an Appleton junior high school teacher with a strong work ethic started a residential realty company? His name, Raleigh Winter. 3 generations later, the Winters still hold true to a strong work ethic and an excellent reputation in the community. Today, Raleigh Winter and Associates remain actively involved in providing retail, office, and industrial users an affordable, well-designed working environment through the creation and/or acquisition of quality real estate in the Fox cities and even beyond new. So what do you say? Let's take an old look at new.
Newsa-Cast listeners, it is time for our look at history that we like to call the old look at new. That's Northeast Wisconsin for you, or Wisconsin, wherever it is. But this is our look at history. So, Joe, what are you looking at this week?
Well, Tosh, I'm having issues again, like I usually do with my technology. But there is I stumbled across. As all of you know, I love the Appleton Historical Society's Facebook page, and they were talking about right next to Lawrence Street, down on the flats. There was this ship. I think it was called the Paul L. That doesn't sound right, but it was something L, and I will get. Oh, here it is. Yeah, it is the Paul L. It was kind of weird because we have good friend Paul Lecker, but this boat was called the Paul L. And in 1943, there's some conflicting results, but this was a barge that worked the Fox River through the locks. It was sunk, and it's in its final resting place. I never knew this, but people swear by this. It's sunk just near Law Street, right? You know where that lock is, that dam, that lock. It's kind of out there somewhere. Is supposedly this steam. It started as a steamship, had a little bit of an issue in Neenah or Menasha. It kind of tipped over its load. So they must have had a saw off the top because it turned into a barge, and it did barge work up and down the Fox River for, I don't know, a couple of decades, I guess. And then finally just had to be intentionally sunk just southeast of the Law Street Bridge. So I don't know. It says it's visible during extreme low river levels. So I don't know if all
right.
They tell us we're low on rain, maybe or low on water. Maybe there is a ship, this vessel.
Maybe this summer we'll be able to see it. You never know.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out on that. But anyway, Tosh, that's I guess my cloudy old look at new. How about you? Right. What are you going to take a look at?
Well, we're going to go all the way back to 1905. And on February 2nd, 1905, the Wisconsin State League was formed, and that was that brought professional baseball to Wisconsin. And we had 6 teams in that league that included the cities of Green Bay, La Crosse, Oshkosh, Wausau, and Freeport, Illinois. And so that was later changed to the Wisconsin-Illinois League in 1908, but it ended by 1914. But that was Wisconsin's first official professional baseball league for our state. So
incredible. Yeah. That's nuts. 1905.
Yeah, so we got the Brewers now, but back then we had a team in Oshkosh and a team in Green Bay in that league. So yeah,
that's that's a rich history of baseball, certainly through Appleton and the whole state. But
right.
Yeah, there's still hardball leagues out there, Tosh. Of course, you got the Tim Bradlers Midwest League. It's still baseball's in our blood somewhere.
There's so many leagues. I mean, you know, any given night you can go check out the Dairyland League. You can check out the Northwoods Woodbat Summer League with all the college players. We have a lot of different leagues here in Wisconsin, and we're fortunate to have those baseballs. You know, nothing better than sitting out having a beer and watching some good baseball. So.
Oh, exactly. Some would say they prefer lacrosse, but hey, that's each to their own.
I love both, but there's still something about a baseball game.
Yeah, no, there definitely is. I was talking to a buddy the other day that one of my favorite things to watch is just a big league baseball player, doesn't matter what position, just playing long toss, just watching the fluidity of the throw in a big league ballpark, playing long toss. It's beautiful.
Well, speaking of long tossing, I'm going to toss it back to you and tell us who sponsors us.
Well, Tosh, the good folks at Raleigh Winter and Associates are The proud sponsors of An Old Look at New. More than anything, I'm a letter carrier, and I'm walking in to deliver mail, and off to my left, I see this glossy magazine called Fox City Sports. I'm like, what the hell is this? Pick it up and start reading it. It happened to be your inaugural issue. And wow, it's an impressive magazine. I think it fills a void in the area, but man, kudos, well done.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, the quality is something I wanted to make sure we had. I didn't want to have a cheap looking magazine, things like that. So the first two issues didn't have like an aqueous coating on the cover. I've gone to that since, so it's a nice glossy cover. I just think it looks really nice.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, just a good glossy magazine. I mean, we grew up in the newspaper era, right? The newspaper magazine era, and it's nothing
I've
better.
got 14 years worth of newspaper experience under my belt, so including the Post Crescent.
Nice.
So when you say that, so what made you decide now was the time to start a magazine with Fox City Sports?
So, I've always been very interested in sports, played every sport you can imagine growing up. I've been working for the last 6 years for a company based out of Brookfield, Wisconsin, that does neighborhood magazines. They publish about 2,000 neighborhood magazines throughout the country and Canada. And so I was designing magazines for them. I had always had this in my head that I would love to do a sports magazine. There's nothing like it around here, nothing that I could find anywhere really. So I finally just decided to take that leap, and with my skill set of doing the magazine design, ad design, things like that, and my, entrepreneurial spirit, just decided I think I quit my full-time job last October. I had the October issue already at the printer before I basically told them I was quitting. And yeah, it's been good ever since.
How do you even, I mean, I know you're in the field, but like, how do you actually, because you have writers. Yeah. I mean, I see Matt Tenhanken, he's a good buddy of ours. I mean, you have local community folks. How long did it take you to develop this idea to actually get that first October issue printed? How long was that process to get it out of your head?
So I worked up a prototype of the magazine first and printed like 500 copies of a prototype. Actually, it's funny you mentioned Matt, because he's the first person I went to. Back quite a few years ago when the Champion Center was being built, I was actually on a marketing board through the chamber there, or through Matt's group, the CVB, and was on that marketing board for the chamber. So I met Matt through there. So I figured when I had this idea, I wanted to run it by Matt just to see what his thoughts were and if he thought it was something worth doing. And his first response was, "This is awesome. What can we do to help?" So So he provides content. One of the big things that I'm trying to do is make sure that we get content from the community. Because I always tell people like, I can write a story on how to avoid knee injuries. I could use ChatGPT or whatever to do that. But it doesn't mean as much with my byline on as it does. Like in that inaugural issue, we had a neuroscientist or a neurosurgeon from Neuroscience Group talking about concussion protocols and stuff. It carries a lot more weight when you have those experts in the field doing things.
No, absolutely. You're really filling a void. Tosh and I, when we started, this podcast was kind of born out of the Red Smith banquet. And that
I used to love going to the Red Smith banquet. That was one of the highlights of my year.
That's great to hear.
That is good.
Back in the heyday, a lot of people said that middle of January, it was a heck of a party. But, through the years and COVID and all that, it kind of banquets are a bit of the thing of the past, but we had a lot of content. We had all those banquets recorded, but I think along kind of what you saw with this magazine, there is kind of a void and a need in communities, especially in Fox cities, for, I hope, local content, whether that's sports or really whatever, but being that local, just homegrown people talking about their community. I think that's huge.
Yeah. And, there's such a plethora of talent in this area, with not only the guys sports, but the girls sports, the amount of different sports that are out there, and just the people are so passionate. And people told me when I started this that oh, it's sports. It's such a, a niche magazine, I said, yeah, but it's a really big niche, especially in this area.
No doubt.
And the support has been great. The, the parents, the kids themselves, the advertisers I've talked to, not one of them has said it's a bad idea yet. So I'm happy with the way it's going.
That's nice to hear.
The one thing that I love about this is we seem to have a lack in newspapers now, that we have a lack of local sports coverage. And that's the best. I mean, these high school athletes, you're seeing some of the most, some, like you said, amazing amount of talent in the kids that are playing high school sports. And that's great. Highlighting these kids not only is a thrill for them and their parents, but also it's great for the community.
Yeah. I get random emails, 2 or 3 times a week, just from people who, I just picked up a copy of the magazine and I really love it. And thank you for what you're doing. And, it's giving kids their Sports Illustrated kind of moment. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've noticed in the issues that in that section where we have, it's called 20 questions with an athlete.
I love that.
Right next to that, we have the parents who write a column called From a Parent's Perspective. What it's like to have that kid in sports, the cost, the travel, the practices, the injuries. When we started, that was the thing that I thought would be the hardest thing to get parents to do. It's turning out to be the easiest thing. These parents love writing about their kids.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I do love the 20 questions. I was actually one of the first, when I opened the magazine, I happened to instantly open to that page. And that's great. Tosh and I have often thought that's a tremendous idea. And you're right. It's for some old guys like us to understand how the kids, it all turns into social media for them. They love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you said you grew up playing sports and that's part of your blood. So what did you, how did you start? What did you do?
So I started just by playing, high school football. Well, starting in 8th grade with, Bulldog football over there in Kimberly, and went on to high school, and and I use play sports with quotation marks, because I wasn't the best player, obviously, but I went to high school with AJ Klein's dad. I played high school with him.
Yep.
I played with Matt Vandenboom, who went on to be a walk-on at UW and get drafted by the Bills. So even back then there was just the amount of talent, and but I ran track. I did things like that, and then out of high school. So I never went to college. I had a short-lived, ill-fated college career, I always say. I lasted not even a semester before I dropped out and started working for a newspaper in Kaukauna there.
The Kaukauna Times, right?
Kaukauna Times, Times Villager back in the day. Yeah. Just doing graphic design. That's my whole background, is all in just graphic design. Okay. That's what I've been doing for the last 40 years. Ad design, you name it, anything with printed media stuff. Okay. I moved to Madison, took a position at Madison Newspapers Incorporated down there. And that's when I really got into playing, baseball and softball. And I was on bowling leagues and dart leagues. And I remember one of our bowling leagues, I had a 206 average, and I was the worst guy on our team.
Dang.
And I don't know, you guys you're not as old as me, but I don't know if you remember a TV station up here, a local station that had a show called Strikes and Spares for Cash.
Tosh and I talked about it before this. We love that show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we got to actually bowl on TV, which was kind of fun.
Nice.
So, but yeah, and so like I said, the trunk of my car was filled with every kind of sporting equipment you could think of. So,
did you win some cash that night?
We did not win. We won we won the guys division, and then they put the guys winners up against the women's division winner, and we got our handed to us. So it wasn't fun. So I think I ended up getting a plaque.
Okay.
It was fine.
Yes,
it was all good.
Your Kimberly years. So back in the late 70s, early 80s, Jack Whippick was the basketball coach, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He was a character.
Oh, yeah. I actually credit Jack for graduating me, because I did not have I shouldn't even say this, but my senior year in high school, I had a little case of apathy, let's just say. And I was short on credits, and Coach Whippick said that if I, was an assistant on the basketball team, that would fulfill my gym requirements, and he would give me a passing grade. So, he's the one who let me get through high school. So
high school.
But yeah, I was the assistant softball coach for the Kimberly Papermakers girls softball team back in the 80, 81, 82. We went to state and we won state in 80 and 81. And that was with John Malin was the coach back in the day. So
it is amazing, isn't it? That I'm just literally the athletic program at Kimberly, girls and boys, and I feel like it's every single sport they're competing for state championships.
Yeah. When you look at, the high schools now and the facilities that these kids have, I mean, it's nothing like, it's so much better than I had when I was there. The first time I went and saw Neenah High School, my jaw hit the floor. I couldn't believe how big Neenah High School was. And I mean, it looked like a university.
Right.
Yeah.
And these indoor turf facilities now, I mean, of all places, West is getting one, but I mean, every school you go to has one of these coming off the end of the building.
Yeah. I think people are realizing the importance of those, that high school sports and what it does for the community and what it does for, the booster clubs and things. So, it's a big deal. It's important. And all the schools are good. Mm-hmm. It's crazy how competitive everyone is.
It does fill a need. I mean, we keep kids active, keep them doing something. They do better in school. So the more we get kids involved, in activities, whether it's sports or whether it's any activity at school, the better they're going to do in school. So that you're absolutely correct. I mean, let's get these kids involved. Let's highlight them. Let's show them. And you're doing that. That's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, it's been a lot of fun. It's been very fulfilling. We've only got, I'm actually delivering the February issue tomorrow. Will be out at the newsstands. That's only the 5th issue. And so from where it started to where it is already, it's just come a long ways, and I'm very happy with it. And, I've got, like you said, I have 2 writers now, one that I contacted, but one, Greg, who was the sports reporter for the Wapaka Journal for years. He recently retired, was looking for something to do, and this fit the bill for him. And he's a good writer, so I'm really happy to have those guys on board. I've got a great photographer who's very well connected within the sports community in the high school level with softball and wrestling. And so, yeah, it's been really good.
You mentioned you're distributing the magazine tomorrow. So does that fall on you? Are you the distribution of the magazine?
Oh yeah. For now anyway. Sure. So, I've got them in like 80, 82 locations now, I think, throughout the valley.
Excellent.
So, and it's about the exact same mileage to do my route when I deliver them as it is to go to my younger brother who lives in Fitchburg down near Madison.
Nice.
And I told him, I said, imagine you driving to my house, but stopping 82 times along the way. I said, that's what my day is like tomorrow. So
as a letter carrier, I salute you. I love that.
Yeah, but I like doing it because it gets me away from the computer. I drive by and I see businesses that I didn't know existed before. Yeah. It gives me a chance to kind of think about things and where I want this to go.
So how did you get 82 businesses? And was that just you personally going out, or did anybody reach out to you, or how did that work?
No, it was me. So I started with like quick trip locations and pick and saves, just going in and say, hey, I have this new magazine. Are you okay if I put it in your store? And, Quick Trip had to go through their corporate offices. And so we did that. And all the division managers have control over their stores. So the guy who runs Appleton said, yep, you could put them in here. The guy who runs Kaukauna, the guy who runs Hortonville and Neenah Menasha all said no. So I don't have them in those locations. But all the Appleton ones I do. But the rest was, when I got that first issue, I was driving around. I would just stop at places and go, hey, this is my magazine. Can I put it here? So That's how that all started. So, it just keeps growing. And, the bigger it gets, the more locations we can get, and we're trying to make sure we get out to, Hortonville and Freedom and make sure that, the people out there can also, pick this magazine up locally.
Did you kind of have the same approach then with your advertisers? Because, I was shocked at how many advertisers you have in your magazine.
Well, thank you, because that's, of all my skill sets, that's my least favorite thing. I'm not, I'm very outgoing and personal. Everybody told me, oh, you should do sales. You'd be good at it. And honestly, when I first did the prototype, I thought, this is going to be such an easy sell. Everyone's going to want to be in this. And, it's everyone loves it, but not everybody wants to part with their money.
Right.
So, but it's a work in progress, and we're getting there. And we purposely kept our advertising rates low because I don't want to have cost be a barrier for someone to be in the magazine. The other thing we do that most places don't do is I don't take contracts. You want to come in for 1 month or 2 months, come in for 1 or 2, whatever works for your business. That's what I want you to do. I want those advertisers to feel like they're in control.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you're speaking my language. That's exactly how I feel too. Right. You feel like you can sell anything, but when you actually, it's hard to sell. I mean, it's a special person.
Hard to sell.
That ask is difficult.
And because it's a new venture, a lot of people were kind of waiting to see, maybe how it goes first. A lot of it was I started in October, and a lot of places had their marketing budgets for the year done.
Sure.
So, but yeah, it's fine. It's all good. So.
Yeah, that's a challenge. Not many people understand that. We kind of fought that with this podcast as well. You're trying to do what? I don't get it.
Yeah, I love the podcast, by the way. I did go back and listen to some previous ones, and it's really great. So thank you so much for having me on.
Well, it's people like you that we want on. And I mean, we joke about it all the time. And it's true. I mean, Tosh and I are not professionals. We're a lot like you, where I just love Tosh. We love podcasts. We love music. Tosh has been in education for 25 years, so he's used to talking to people. I just like the BS. So that's what you get on this.
That's kind of how I am. I used to tell my wife, I know a little bit about a lot of things. So doing small talk, I can do that with people.
Yeah, exactly. Turns out it kind of works for a podcast, I guess.
There you go.
So when you're researching or getting ready for the next month, I mean, do you have a certain plan that you're doing? And do you have people you're looking for, or is it, are you looking for ideas all the time?
Yeah. So, I have an editorial calendar that I keep.
Okay.
I keep, on trying to get on track with, kind of knowing what I want to do going forward. So I've already got, the March issue we've got, that goes to print in a couple of weeks. I've already got my April people so the three main features, the cover story, the 20 questions, and the one-on-one with the coach. Okay. I have those for April. I have those set for May already. Good. And then I kind of have an idea who I want going forward, but I haven't contacted them yet just because it's so far out. But the March issue, I don't know if you guys golf. Our March issue is going to be all about golf.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So we've got some cool things coming up. So a guy named Craig Joy, who used to be the golf, he went to Neenah High School and played on the Neenah golf team. He was a golf pro at Ridgeway for years. So a lot of people know him. He's recently moved to Florida, and he's working on the tour. So he's personally doing things with Ricky Fowler and Scotty Scheffler and those guys. And so he's our cover. Wow. We got the golf pro over at North Shore is our one-on-one with the coach. We got a golfer and from Abilene North High School, and his dad is a golf coach. So he's going to write the parents thing. But we started a new thing with this March issue where we're doing kind of a where are they now column.
Okay. Yeah.
So the first one we're getting is JP Hayes.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, excellent.
So Appleton, or Xavier graduate.
Yep,
sure. Tour pro.
On the PGA tour. And so he's doing the first one. We've got Danny Jansen from Appleton West is going to be in the April issue. So yeah, that'll be fun. So
you, same thing like with the advertising, you're just picking up the phone and calling these folks, or we're just reaching out to them, or just working connections?
Yeah. So some of it was connections. When I first started, I knew some of the businesses, from before. So I reached out to them first. But yeah, it's just, going around, and I had a notebook in my car, and my wife and I would drive around, and I would say, "Ooh, write that place down and write that place down." Come back, look them up online, and say, "Yeah, they're a candidate." So I just started making a spreadsheet of everybody, and just started reaching out to people.
Right.
So.
Right. Being not a professional, I was people like Danny Jansen and all that. That always seems that's almost scarier to call those people, I feel like, than an advertiser sometimes.
Well, so JP, so the cover of our January issue was a kid from Xavier, Luke Olhafen, and his parents knew JP Hayes really well as a graduate from Xavier. Okay. So that's how I got JP.
Sure.
Danny Jansen came from a friend of mine who just happens to know the family really well. So they reached out to him, and so. Awesome. And then we're at some point, we'll get AJ Klein in too, just because I know his mom. I went to school. We just had our high school class reunion last summer, and Gene and I talked quite a bit about AJ, so it's kind of cool.
She lives right kitty corner from me. from their backyard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I started, I ended up talking to all of the athletic directors for all the high schools,
Okay.
and got permission from them basically to talk to the coaches, directly. So I made the whole spreadsheet of all the coaches, their names, email addresses, the whole work. So then it's like, we started. I wanted my first cover kid to be from Kimberly. As a Kimberly grad, I told Ryan McGinnis, who's the AD at Kimberly, I said, for my first one, it has to be a Kimberly kid. And he suggested Julia Gerholt, which turned out to be fantastic. But then after, so we're kind of alternating, guys and girls on the covers, making sure we get different sports. So then it's like, okay, this month we need a girl on the cover. And, we follow what the WIAA has for spring sports, fall sports, whatever. Yep. So we want a softball player. We haven't done a Kaukauna feature yet. So I'll email a Kaukauna softball coach and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Do you have a kid on your team that you think would be perfect for this magazine? And they always respond. They always give me contacts. Good. And then I just reach out to the kids and the parents. And so
that's awesome.
Was Jack Gerholt the dad or the grandpa of Chris, of the Gerholt, of Julia that you have on the cover? There used to be a Jack Gerholt when I was a kid. I want to say he played Major League Baseball or was tied to baseball, but he used to do, in T League, you would have like once a week, you would go see Jack Gerholt. He'd put on like a clinic for the kids to teach them baseball.
No, I don't know if he could have been like her grandfather or something. Okay. It wasn't the dad.
Gotcha.
But do you guys remember back in the day, a guy named Dick Mullery so when we were winning the state championships in girls softball for Kimberly, Nancy Mullery was our pitcher, and her dad was essentially the pitching coach for everybody in the area.
Yeah.
Like you'd go to his house, softball, baseball, didn't matter what team you were from, he would train you, and he was a really, really good trainer, coach for these kids. So
does it kind of surprise you? I guess what is your take on youth sports? I mean, it's so different than when we grew up, but with every sport has travel. It seems like every sport is year round. What are your thoughts on I guess the state of sports, especially youth sports these days?
I think it's really strong. I think the sports out there is great. I think it's become very specialized. If you're, not a lot of kids, depending on how they want to take it post high school, they're not playing 3 sports in school anymore. They're being told, well, you need to focus on basketball or soccer. If that's what you want to, if softball is your thing, you need to specialize with that. And I think the opportunities for these kids, so there's indoor batting cages everywhere, and there's volleyball trainers, and places like Blaze Fitness or Most Volleyball or
right.
Cavallini Baseball Academy out there. There's so many places where you can get that year-round training, and it's become, I feel like it's become somewhat of a business, in that, if you're not training in your sport year-round, you're going to be behind the 8 ball when it comes to opening day of the baseball season here. So
right, I struggle with that. I mean, Tosh and I've had lots of conversations on it. That I feel like because you're absolutely right. But there's people like us, too, that maybe weren't the greatest at sports, but absolutely love sports, even like to play it. And sometimes I feel like those people who probably are going to be bigger sports fans throughout their life don't really have the opportunity to play. And that's I struggle with that sometimes.
I sit and I watch some of these, a lot of these club baseball, things and baseball games and these kids and the coaches do a really good job at that level, for these middle-aged or middle school kids, do a really good job of making sure that everyone's playing. And you're going to have your 2 or 3 kids that are way better than everyone else. I think as you get into the high school level, it gets a little harder, but you still have to have a big roster to play football.
Right.
Yeah. So you're going to get those kids who may not be as good, and as long as that experience for them is positive, I think it's just fine, because you can learn. You don't have to be the blue chip athlete to learn, respect and to learn, teamwork and camaraderie and all these things. It just becomes part of that, of being part of that team. So
yeah.
I still think the state of the sport is good. So
that's good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you look at the fact that 7% of all high school kids go on and play college, I mean, it's a very small amount, and 1% go on and get D1 scholarships or a scholarship. We're still building the leadership skills. We're building those skills to work with people. And, unfortunately, a lot of kids, they're working, they're providing for families, helping provide for their families and things like that. And we've lost some of that, of those kids who could just come out and play and get that experience. So you're right. There is so much more than just playing. It's about being on a team. It's about being part of a school. It's about being part of a group of guys or girls. And those friendships and stuff can tend to help you throughout your life.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the way Steve Jones from Kimberly, when they were winning when they had that unbelievable winning streak, and how he perpetuated that by making sure that these middle schoolers and these undergraduates were being taken care of by the seniors, and how everything was, he was just kind of building that program up to get, to make sure that everybody, not just who was playing in high school at the time, but, the 2 or 3 grades behind them, that they were involved with everything that was going on. And that leads to your success.
Yeah.
Steve Jones was absolutely incredible. Before I decided to grow my hair, I was a longtime football official. And I remember one game working a Kimberly game, and the national anthem came on, and he walked up and down the sidelines insisting and showing his players exactly how you hold your helmet, how you stand and face the flag. I mean, just how to do the right thing. I mean, he just truly, and it wasn't yelling. It was eye to eye.
Yeah, he led by example for sure. And he's still doing it. I mean, he's so involved with, he's up at the Packers now, but he's still he goes and does public speaking at colleges and high schools. And, he leads by example. He's a great guy, a great leader.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. There's been some incredible coaches. I mean, obviously you've seen it with what you do in this area. The coaching is, it's outstanding.
Yeah.
Bryson up at West Appear. I mean, he's amazing. There's a lot of fantastic coaches.
A lot of long-term coaches, a lot of guys that have been here and doing it for a while.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But I still have a love for the Jack Whippicks and the Ralph McClones, those old guys who are in the 70s and 80s firing their sports coat across the room.
Yeah. I remember, so back in the late 70s is when the Converse high tops, the Chuck Taylors came out. And, Jack got them for all the basketball players, but he opened it up to everybody in the school because the more shoes he could order, the better the deal he got on it.
Sure.
So, my buddies and I, we all got white Converse, Chuck Taylor high tops, and it was great.
Heck yeah. Guys were living large.
Yep, it was fun.
Hey, Newsa-Cast listeners, help us grow by subscribing wherever you get your pods or sharing the Newsa-Cast. Follow us on Facebook, X, TikTok, or Instagram. Northeastern Wisconsin Sports Advancement is a 501c3 organization. Our mission is to raise money, provide support, and bring greater awareness for youth sports organizations in Northeast Wisconsin. We do this primarily through the Red Smith Sports Award Banquet and the Newsa-Cast. Each year, we give back to the community through 3 initiatives: the Every Kid Plays Grant, the Gives Back Initiative, and scholarships to student athletes. So professionally, you mentioned that you're in graphic designs, and
Yes.
in your opening letter, you talk about some of the people you've worked with. Michael Jordan, Brett Favre, Clay Matthews, Arnie, Dale Arndt. The list is way better than anybody that's ever come to the Red Smith banquet. It's incredible.
I'll tell you. So I was very fortunate when I was the art director at Rayovac Corporation down in Madison, and they decided to get into the NASCAR program, which is cool. But we had, Michael Jordan was our spokesperson for the battery division. Arnold Palmer was a spokesperson for our hearing aid division. So I got to meet these guys. I did photo shoots with Arnold Palmer. I drove him to the airport. He was in my car, which was cool. I was on a TV commercial shoot that I was just there observing with Michael Jordan. And I get lots of stories I could tell you about that. But, the NASCAR program was cool because I got to design some NASCAR graphics, that went on track. So we worked with what was called Jarrett Favre Motorsports. So it was Dale Jarrett, the race car driver, and Brett Favre, and the Packers were the sponsors of that team. So we got to do that. So I got to do photo shoots with Aaron Rodgers and Dale and Jason Jarrett, his son, were the drivers. And, I got to fly down to New Orleans and to do a photo shoot down there. We got to fly to Hickory Motor Speedway in North Carolina. And I actually took my rental. I had a rental van, and I took it for 3 laps around Hickory Motor Speedway. That was cool. But you look outside that speedway, and you see, Ned Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt Sr. and all these NASCAR legends that all race there. That was really cool.
Wow.
So the graphics, are you like designing like the graphics that are on the car, things like that?
Yes, on the car.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you see a NASCAR,
the car, the trailer,
oh yeah.
Okay.
All of that stuff.
So that's all your work, all that. You see a car on TV, a NASCAR on TV. That's the type of stuff that, wow, that's incredible. That has to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, and I always tell people my greatest sports day ever was I was at my desk at Rayovac, and the guy who was in charge of the race program came down to my desk and said, "What are you doing this weekend?" And I'm like, "Nothing." And he said, "Do you want to go to the race?" I said, "Well, the race is in Delaware. It was at Dover, Delaware." And he said, "Yeah." He goes, "We'll take the jet." So Rayovac had a private, corporate jet.
Naturally.
So he's like, "Okay, what time do you want me at the airport?" And when I got on the jet, I'm like, "When do we leave?" And he goes, "We leave when I tell the pilot to take off. That's when we leave." But he goes, we have to take a stop. We have to make one stop before we go out there. So we flew from Madison up to Green Bay. We picked up Ron Wolf and his young son at the time, Elliot Wolf.
Yeah.
And then picked those guys up, drove to Dover, went to the race. Turns out I was invited so I could babysit Elliot while Ron and this other guy went into down in the pit area, but I didn't care. I had fun.
Yeah.
And then we dropped them off in North Carolina and then flew back to Madison all in one day. It was great.
Incredible.
So I'm curious. You mentioned that you had one ill-fated semester of college. So was graphics something that you got into in high school, or was this something that came to you? And how did you get your training? How did you figure that out?
I knew I was going to do this when I was in second grade.
Okay.
Like I remember it. We were, we had to create a big folder to put all our art projects in. And I decorated that, out of my folder. It was fantastic. And so I've always known that it was going to be graphic design. Okay. So there was a position that opened up at the Kaukauna Times newspaper. And that's when I was in school. And I thought, this is exactly what I'm going to school for. So I'm just going to quit school and and I got that job. And that's still my longest running job. And that was only 7 years. That's the longest I've ever been in one place. But from there, it kind of just kept moving up. And, so I was art director for Famous Footwear in Madison, for Rayovac Corporation in Madison. And then I got the art director position at Zippo, the lighter people out in Bradford, Pennsylvania. All 3 of those positions required a college degree, which I didn't have. So, but what I had was personality and desire and, talent, I hope, so I kind of overcame all of that and got all 3 of those jobs and, hopefully left them all better, than I found them.
The technology you must use in that field. I mean, pretty much you rose with a computer more or less, didn't you? And all that programming.
Yeah. I was 21 before I touched my first computer, and that was at the Kaukauna Times. So we went from doing, manual layouts and paste up of the newspapers to, pagination and everything online. And it was crazy. So yeah, everything I've done has been self-taught.
Wow.
And again, it's that desire to want to learn, to try new things. I get bored easily with jobs. And so after about 3 years, once I feel like I kind of know what I'm doing, it doesn't become a challenge anymore. So I want something new to challenge me. And this is the perfect opportunity at the perfect time.
I love that. Always curious.
I was going to say,
exactly.
I hope this challenges you for a while, because this is...
I do too. So this is, I'm close to retirement age, but all the things that people say they want to do when they retire, I want to spend more time golfing or fishing or working I don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I have 0 hobbies. This is what I love to do. Nice. And the fact that I get to go out and I meet these kids and I meet their parents and I meet the coaches. It's just been a huge blessing for me. It's been great.
I 100% get that. I mean, why? You're doing what you love to do. I mean, isn't that what retirement should be? That's what life should be. I
Exactly.
Man, that's
so
so
yeah.
awesome.
I have zero desire to stop anytime soon. So
Good.
Yeah, I get that for sure. So that car ride with Arnie, I got to hear the story.
so we did the photo shoot. So ahead of time, I was asking his agent, like, what's Arnie most comfortable in? What color shirts does he want to wear? What, and she was telling me, it's like, well, he likes blue and he wants, if you had like a big easy chair there for him to rest in beforehand, and just kind of keep everything moving and don't waste his time and stuff. So we had all these different packages of batteries that I wanted pictures with him. But instead of having him hold up AA's and then AAA's and then see, all of those packages were the same size. So I just made a white blank piece of cardboard and we did one photo shoot with that. And then I photoshopped in all the different sizes. Wow. So the photo shoot went really fast. We had, I asked him, well, it's like everybody knows, what an Arnold Palmer is, the drink.
Sure.
And she's like, he would love that if you had that there. So I had that for him.
Oh, yeah.
We got him the blue Rayovac shirts. We got everything set for him. And the photo shoot went really fast. It was very efficient. It was great. He had time to sign autographs for people. We had one lady who asked if he could sign a golf ball, and he looked at her like she was crazy. But because he's only signed 1 million of them.
Right.
And then, he needed to ride back to the airport, and I had a brand new car at the time. So my boss said, Dale, why don't you take him back? I'm like, okay, we can do that. And nicest person you would have ever wanted to meet, just like the ultimate, the guy you wanted to be your grandpa.
Yeah.
That's who he was. He was great.
Isn't that an incredible feeling? Tosh and I have a similar experience. We had a 2-hour car ride with Bill Walton and to get the three of us. But you're in the car and it's like, holy Arnold Palmer's next to me or Bill Walton's next to me. It's the most bizarre feeling I think I've ever had. Yeah.
It's funny because he had asked me, he's like, Dale, he goes, the whole time we were there, he goes, you never once asked me for an autograph. And I said, I don't need I said, you're sitting in my car right next to me and we're talking. I said, I'm good. This will be a memory forever for me.
Yeah.
So
Tosh, I think Dale and I are long lost brothers. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. I was very fortunate in my career, to be in the positions that I had, but to meet the kind of people that I was able to meet, and, I was working at Gannett, which was the USA Today Post Crescent. And they did the high school sports award. So I got to be involved with that. That's where I met, Aaron Rodgers and Clay Matthews and things like that. And just been in the right place at the right time a lot.
USA Today was I went through a long stretch reading that. I always enjoyed that every morning.
Yeah. Yeah. They had like 10 newspapers Gannett had throughout the state of Wisconsin. And that's back when they were covering local sports and everything. And then for, I'm sure, money reasons, they consolidated all 10 of those papers down to Milwaukee, to the Milwaukee office. And myself and almost everybody that was working up here in the Appleton office were let go because we had counterparts in Milwaukee. But since they consolidated everything, all the locals coverage kind of went away. They covered the Bucks, the Badgers, the Brewers, things like that. But, the Packers for sure. But all that high school stuff pretty much went away. And, that's why in doing this magazine and hearing especially the parents say that, how great this is, like nobody does this anymore. And, that kind of makes me feel really, really warm and fuzzy on the inside.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, we had talked about it earlier in this conversation, but I think there's an absolute real niche there that people are craving.
Yeah, I do too. And I don't think, print is dead, maybe in newspaper form, but I think people still love magazines.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I'm very happy to provide that for people.
It is one of those things, like you don't really think about a magazine, but like I said, and that was a true story. I saw it out of the corner of my eyes. It catches your eyes and we love magazines, whether we're consciously thinking about them or not. Who doesn't love a magazine? I mean, everybody, whether it's, cosmopolitan people growing up, all the those kind of magazines to Sports Illustrated. I don't know. I don't think that's ever going to die.
Well, like I said, I still have my 1985 copy of Sports Illustrated with Appleton and, William, it was the Bears and the Cowboys, I think in London was on the cover.
Yes. Yeah.
But
William Perry was in a Bobby suit or whatever, right? Or
Yeah.
But
there was, that 30-page spread on, small town sports and Appleton. And there was a reporter and I forget her name off the top of my head, but a reporter for Sports Illustrated that grew up in Neenah. So she
Maureen
was the one that
Wallen-
kind of
no,
brought that.
Yeah, Jill Lieber.
Jill Lieber.
We honored her at the
Yes,
banquet
yes,
one year.
That's the one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was the one who kind of brought that, to them and said, Appleton's a great place for this. And, that's back in the day with the Appleton Foxes and, Goodland Field and all that. And so, yeah, I love growing up here. We had a blast.
Us too. Goodland Field was a second home to all of us. Tosh was a baseball player. He played lots of games there. I mean, and the folks that came through here, the players that came through that field, the grounds keeping tree. Bud Kinky was a longtime Appleton Park and Rec director, and the tree that he has of groundskeepers and at the professional big league level is incredible. All coming through Appleton.
Yeah. When you look at the players that have gone through either the Foxes or the Timber Rattlers now, it's amazing the names, from everyone from, Big Poppy to
Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah, A-Rod was here.
But then you go back even further, Earl Weaver and Cal Ripken. My dad told stories of when Cal Ripken Sr. managed here one year. He remembers when Cal Jr. was in diapers, running around, 1 or 2 years old or whatever.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Ralph Selvin was a longtime trainer for the Baltimore. Him and Earl were kind of together all through their career, and I remember growing up, my dad was buddies with him. Ralph Selvin, my dad was single for a lot of years, and Ralph stayed with him during the season. So they had a good friendship, and every time they'd come to County Stadium, we'd get tickets and go into the locker room. I'm 8 years old.
That's awesome.
And there's Eddie Murray and Earl Weaver. It was pretty cool.
That's great.
Yeah, definitely. The best.
Yeah, I grew up a Red Sox fan. So back in the day, the Brewers were in the AL East with, the Red Sox and the Yankees. So my dad loved baseball, and we would go down to County Stadium, and see a lot of Brewer games.
Yeah.
And I just kind of became a closet Red Sox fan from about the age of 12. And I've been a Chiefs fan since Christmas Day 1971, which is still the longest playoff game in NFL history. And for the longest time, I thought I would go to my grave, never seeing the Red Sox win a World Series, never seeing the Chiefs win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I've got multiples of both now, so I'm happy. I can die happy now.
What happened Christmas Day?
So Christmas Day, so the Chiefs had won the Super Bowl IV, and I think this was the following year, maybe the year after, and it was an AFC championship game for the right to go to the Super Bowl. They were playing the Dolphins. And it was just back and forth. It went into overtime. Both, I think it was Garo Yepremian and Jan Stenerud both had chances to win it, and they missed. And, the Chiefs ended up losing in 2 overtimes, which is to this day still the longest game in NFL history. And I think it was just kind of a sympathy thing. I just felt so bad for them that I kind of on that day became a fan.
Yeah. I mean, Mahomes, what a pleasure to watch. Man, Favre, I loved Favre, but boy, Mahomes is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got Brett's book, Legendary. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's a great book. But there's a lot of Favre in Mahomes, just kind of the being able to extend plays and just kind of throw and not care that much. And he always just seems to do just enough to win. And I like the fact that we've gone from being the team that everybody was rooting for and Andy Reid to win that Super Bowl to now everybody hates us. I heard a song on the internet the other day. It was called "Anybody But the Chiefs" was the name of the song. So,
it's funny how that works, isn't it? I mean, the Patriots face the same thing. I mean, it's anytime there's a dynasty, they love you in the beginning and despise you in the end.
Exactly, because they just get tired. I mean, it was the same way in racing with, Jimmy Johnson. And I remember he had won 3 or 4 NASCAR Cups in a row. And some reporter had asked him, how he keeps winning. And he said, NASCAR, he said, gives you a box, and within the box are all these rules. He goes, but if you don't go right up to the edge of the box and maybe bend it out a little bit, he goes, you're not trying hard enough. He goes, we take advantage of everything that we can do. His pit crew, his team, everybody just, they pushed the envelope on everything, and that's how they won. Jeff Gordon was the same way when he was winning. California kid. He probably shouldn't have been in NASCAR. Nobody, he didn't have that lineage like a lot of these guys do. And I think as you keep winning, and people just, I think, kind of get tired of it. So
this is probably a stupid question, and I'm no one to ask those, but speaking of NASCAR and the graphics, so they Jeff Gordon gets in a wreck, his car is all ding. I guess, how many backups do they have, and how do they get their graphics on there? car so quickly? I mean, how do you work in that? Does that affect you at all, or is that once you have the graphics
No, so
built,
once
everything's
once we have the graphics designed for the race car, and we get templates from NASCAR, as to this has got to be a certain size and this fits this size, and once we get that all laid out, then it's out of our hands now, and it goes to their, they have the guys in the sign shops that print all the graphics. But as I recall, there were probably at every race they probably brought at least 2, 3, or 4 cars with them on these haulers. So they're all decked out in graphics, and then back at the shops they would have 3 or 4 cars, different cars in process of being worked on, because if you're setting up your car for a track like Daytona or Talladega where there are long runs and the tilt, the camber on your wheels is different than it is for like Bristol, which is a short track, and so they have different setups for these cars, and instead of taking the one car and changing it constantly, they'll have different cars that they do for different tracks.
Interesting. So. I unfortunately don't know much about racing. Pixar movie Cars is about as detailed as I get.
Yeah. The first time I saw one close up, I was shocked that the headlights were just decals. There's no real headlights on any of the cars. They're just decals. But we got to go to, we were in the pit area at Orlando. I was down there doing a photo shoot with Jason Jarrett, and we got to go out on the track, and the banking on the track at Daytona was like 33 degrees or something. So from bottom to top, it's like a 3-story building, and you can't walk up it. You get about halfway up and you'll slide back down. And somebody had told me that as cars go around, if they want to stay at the top of the track, anything less than like 88 miles an hour, the car would slide down the banking.
Wow.
Oh,
so
wow.
you can't go slow.
So do you, when you talk about racing, I mean, you look at the technology that was in the NASCARs, but then you see this F1. And the F1 cars are absolutely crazy with the technology and how they see with the computers as it's going around the track. It's pretty incredible to watch.
Yeah, I wish I could be part of that. I wish I could be up close and personal with that kind of stuff, because I would love to see how some of that gets done. It would be really cool. So I got to do 10 laps around Watkins Glen racetrack once too. So, and it was the scariest. I was never so happy to get out of a car in my entire life. And I will say, had we done 11 laps, I would have thrown up in my helmet. I guarantee you. What these drivers go through is incredible. So
as you sit here and think, and you look at this of what you've done so far, where do you see the future for Fox City Sports?
So right now, it ranks right up there with some of the best stuff I've ever done.
Okay.
I would love, I've already been talking about, how do we grow the magazine? Can we do an Oshkosh sports magazine? Can we do a Green Bay sports magazine or a Lakeshore sports magazine? And those are all things on the table because we're getting interest from people outside of the Fox City. So this February issue that we've got coming up, we have a column in there now called Outside the Lines, which is going to be things, sports related things, but outside of the Fox City. So we've got the February one is talking about the Oshkosh Boys and Girls Club and the amount of money that they just put into their facilities down there to upgrade their gym and their soccer fields and stuff is great. And we've got March, we'll have a story on a fishery in the Wapaka area and how that money raised from that fishery helps go to the preservation of the lakes with their aeration system and all this. So, we're getting that interest from outside. So there's a lot of things, a lot of challenges that come with it. Somebody had asked me, well, why don't you just take your current magazine and call it Northeast Wisconsin Sports and just cover everybody? But, just in the Fox cities alone, there's 13 high schools,
right.
So to rotate, to give everybody a fair shake. If we covered, all of Northeast Wisconsin, you might cover a kid from Kimberly once every 3 years, so I like the idea of doing individual ones in other locations better. So we'll see how it goes. But I would like to keep it growing and to keep getting involved with more kids and more coaches and more sports.
You talked about it earlier, but thinking about it more, it really is enjoyable. All the different community, whether it's parents, whether it's people like Matt, all the different community members just expressing their voice through their writing. It's really cool to see. Old school. Yeah.
I really love it. So we've got there's a place here in Appleton called Ariel aerial dance, which is, the women who do the pole dancing and the silks and the hoops and stuff. And, it's gymnastics, really. I mean, it's the strength of these women is incredible. She was really thrilled with how we are, because, I'm being very intentional. And I told her this too, that we want to make sure that we cover, it's not just all about Kimberly football, or Nina basketball. We want to make sure that we cover the girls as equally as we cover the guys. We want to make sure that we cover different sports. And, so we've got tennis and basketball and on the covers. We've had Lily Banks from Menasha, who's like the 13th ranked female wrestler in the country. She was at the Olympic Training Center, missing her first meet this year because she was out there. There's just so much out there. So we started with a lot of the high school kids, and we're going to continue with that too, but we're also branching out into other kids. We've got a guy from Nina. He's 14 years old. He's one of the top dirt track bike racers in the country. He just won a big event down in South Carolina.
Oh, nice.
Fresh off the heels of winning in Florida. We're going to feature him in one of the magazines too. So,
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and then so climbing too. So I didn't know this, but there's a Wisconsin high school climbing, rock climbing clubs and stuff. And they have leagues and sports and stuff. So most of them are down in the Milwaukee area, but there's a gym up in Green Bay that's opening up a location here in Appleton, Odyssey Climbing and Fitness. And, so we're going to feature the gym and one of their kids on an upcoming issue as well. So it's going to be fun. There's a lot of stuff out there.
Boy, there really is. That's the cool thing about doing this kind of stuff. You start and you had no idea about any of this, and all of a sudden it blows your mind.
Yeah, it is. The things I've learned in the last 5 months have just been amazing to me. So even just from the businesses, the different types of businesses that are out there.
Yeah.
And, it's crazy. I was most surprised by all the training academies, so the sports training facilities and stuff that are out there and what's available to kids these days. And, it comes at a cost, but, it's worth it if you want to continue to grow in your sport and to do well.
Yeah, it's an interesting world. Tosh and I both have kids that have gone through various sports, lacrosse and football, soccer. It gets pretty nuts. There's a lot of value to it. But it's interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah, the state of youth sports is good. We just did a story on the Fox Cities Rugby Club here, Youth Rugby Club. Yep. And the kids that are out there playing is, and it's just growing. That whole sport is growing.
Absolutely.
Tosh, you talked to somebody from rugby, right?
Yeah, I can't. Now I'm losing the name.
Old.
Yeah, losing the name. But yeah, he works with the youth rugby club, and talked to him.
But yeah, we've got, our May issue is going to be really cool. It's going to be called Tough Mothers.
Oh,
so it's, we've got a mom on the cover who's, she owns Limitless Elite Gym over here in Appleton and Sarah. And then we've got, moms that play rugby and roller derby and Krav Maga and martial art, 3 or 4 degree black belts. And we've got, we've just got all these tough moms that we're going to feature.
Yeah.
It's going to be neat. Yeah. I really like that. That issue is going to be fun.
Cool.
So
definitely.
A lot of things coming up.
I love it. Absolutely. Predominantly, you said you're in like Quick Trips, Pick and Saves, things like that, grocery stores.
The grocery stores, Woodman's, Piggly Wiggly's, things like that. We've got them at Circle K's. We've got them at a lot of restaurants, and they're at the Champion Center. They're at Blaze Fitness. There's a lot of places you can pick them up. So
I think I saw you. Did you have them at Stone Arch? I think that's where I saw mine.
Stone Arch has got both in Little Chute and Appleton has got them now. And Steve Lonsway's a great guy, good friend of mine, and I've known him for years. And
likewise.
It's I'm happy that they're getting out there, and we've been averaging so far. So when I go and I deliver the magazines, like tomorrow, then I'll pick up all the January ones and see, I know how many I put out and how many come back, and we're averaging about right around 85% of the magazines that go out get picked up.
Nice.
So,
that's fantastic.
We print about 4,000.
Yeah, 4,000.
Yeah, we print about 4,000 that go out. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
That's impressive.
So almost 9 out of every 10 are being picked up by someone. So that's great.
You said it's printed in Wisconsin. How does who handles runs, I guess, that big? How does that? My only experience is just printing the Red Smith program, but it is, at 4,000 at that capacity. What's that process like?
There's only a couple of printers in this area that can handle. So you have to have a web press that can handle that kind of volume. There's a couple down in La Crosse area and down in Madison and stuff, but I wanted to keep it as local as I could. So I've got a printer up in De Pere that I use, and I'm not going to mention their name.
Yeah.
Their quality is great. I've used them before on things. Okay. I knew them pretty well, and and it's close enough where I drive up and I pick them up.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't have to ship them or anything, and
so did you have to buy a van or a truck, or do you have a van or a truck? How do you haul that?
I've got a 2010 Toyota Highlander that runs like a dream. Yeah. So that's what I use. So.
I'm a huge fan, and this podcast is probably kind of because of Barstool Sports. I mean, I love Dave Portnoy, and he started the exact same way in a crappy old car delivering the rag sheet, that he put together.
Yeah. I used to watch his their pizza reviews from pizza places.
Oh yeah, he still does that. I do that every night.
Yeah. That's good stuff. So
that's
and I listen now. I'll listen to you guys too, but I listen to New Heights with Jason and Travis Kelsey. That's a good one for us. And
that's natural. We get that a lot. We're right there with the Kelseys. It's
I'm sure Kelseys. Which one's Jason? Which one's Travis?
Yeah. That's a good question.
So I do have to ask you guys. So. In the March issue, all of the people that are participating in the March issue, I asked them what their dream foursome to play golf with is. So any, past or present, I never say dead or alive because you always pick the alive ones.
Yeah.
But past or present golfers that you would want a round of golf with.
Oh, that's a great question. Tosh, you're first.
Arnie, for sure.
Yeah.
Chichi Rodriguez.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Tiger. I grew up watching him. Yeah. And I would say present day, I think Roy McIlroy would be incredible.
Okay. Yeah. That would be fun. So.
I think for me, well, I'm like Tosh. I mean, I grew up with Tiger. He'd be awesome. I mean, it'd be incredible. I think I'd like to do it with Tiger, Frankie Borelli from Foreplay, and I think Brett Favre. I think he.
That would be.
He'd be a hoot.
You kind of went the route that I did because so my wife said, well, you're asking all these other people. She goes, you should put in what your dream foursome would be. And I played a lot of golf back in the day. I haven't swung a club in 20 years. So I'm no good at it. So I said, if I'm going to go out on the course, I want to go out and have fun. Yeah. So my foursome was going to be Bill Murray, Kevin Hart, and Travis Kelsey. Yeah. I think that would be a fun day. Oh. That would be a fun time on the course.
Man, Chevy Chase, throw him in there.
Yeah, there's a lot you could do. So
yeah,
it's interesting the responses I'm getting from people, and I won't give anything away. But
it's a great question.
We're doing some sections with where we get advice from some of the local pros and stuff. Where so they give some advice or a golf tip or a hack, and then I ask them also what their favorite course is that they've ever played, and then who their dream foursome would be. So. A lot of these people are, St. Andrews or, Pebble Beach, some of these big name courses. And, I'm like, University Ridge in Madison. Is that going?
Yeah.
But,
that's awesome.
Speaking of golf and Barstool, have you heard? So he was the pro at Thornberry. Cody Frankie was his name. No. But he put together some TikToks that he had been doing for a year. It's just golf lessons. And it caught the eye at Barstool, and he got hired. So now he now works for Barstool as the head golf pro for their Foreplay brand. And
that's crazy!
Yeah, nuts. It's incredible, this world we live in.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah, the internet, for all of its faults and things, it's it's kind of nice to be able to look up. If you want to know the answer to anything, it's pretty much right at your fingertips now.
Yeah. It really is. Do you do anything on social media with the magazine or anything?
Yeah, so I have a Facebook page, and And again, just because it's me doing everything, it doesn't get updated very often and stuff. But we're putting things out there, and the website. But that's all I've got going on now. At some point, when I can relinquish a little bit more control, it would be kind of cool to have someone do some of that social media stuff for me.
Yeah.
And I don't have a great skill set at it, but I have less time to do it too. So
yeah. Between you and me, and maybe the one other person that's listening, I mean, that's our budget for this podcast is social media. And Lindsay, I mean, she does a fantastic job, but you have to have somebody that at least gets some, because it's time consuming, and it's really, really hard to come up with content, even a couple of times a week.
To do it on a consistent basis.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy in the beginning. You're all fired up for the first month or two, and then, month 8, it's like, what am I doing? And
it just becomes one more thing you have to do.
Right.
So,
yeah, no doubt.
We'll get there. It's like I said, we've only got, tomorrow will be 5 issues since we started. So
cool.
No, it's fantastic. It's a pleasure to meet you. Honestly, I love the story. Definitely get the magazine. It's fantastic. Dale, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for what you do.
I appreciate
being in education, being in high schools.
So much.
Really appreciate getting these kids out and exposing them. That's fantastic.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys.
All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, you're about to hear a clip from the 1991 Red Smith Awards that featured our nice guy, Larry Csonka.
Yeah, Tosh, running back Miami Dolphins, the only undefeated team still in NFL history. Larry Csonka, Miller Lite All-Star.
Yeah, those were the years that you had the Miller Lite All-Stars at the Red Smith, right?
Oh, there was no doubt there was a stretch. I could still remember this really cool book that the Miller Brewing Company would give. My dad was a chairman back then, and you would flip that thing open. It was literally pick this guy, pick that guy, pick this girl. I want this, want 2 of those. And but it was all the All-Stars and their bios. And if they were available to come, we probably had a 10-year stretch there where they came, and Larry Csonka was one of them.
Yeah, so what's incredible, and besides Larry coming, Miller always brought a lot of Miller Lite, and I think each table had a bucket of Miller Lights that they're ready for their drinking pleasure. But the whole, this is the podcast, but the whole episode with Larry can be found on the YouTube channel, the Newsa-Cast YouTube channel, so you can check that out on Sunday and get the entire interview. Him speaking, it's hilarious, it's fantastic. So check that out on a YouTube channel.
Yeah, no doubt. Honestly, I know we beg and plead every week, but hit like and subscribe and check out the library, both the shorts and the videos, because we're 65 or 70 now, throwbacks of everybody that's come to the Red Smith Banquet, and then a whole bunch of shorts as well.
Red Smith Sports Awards. Banquet Throwback.
The Red Smith Award, of course, goes to someone who has made some unique contributions to sport in Wisconsin, and also epitomizes the great values that Red Smith exhibited.
Let's give a Red Smith welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, a warm Wisconsin welcome for one of pro football's all-time greats and our 1991 Miller Nice Guy Award winner, Mr. Larry Csonka.
Alice, he's going to make you sit.
One more like that. Okay. It's okay with me?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Susan. It's unusual for Susan to come down and deal with these kind of numbers in terms of thousands, in terms of yards and carries. She deals in terms of hundreds of thousands of barrels and millions of dollars in promotional money spent over at Miller. I was delighted to see her tonight. I was afraid I was going to walk in here and see that Miller had sent Euchre down here to introduce me. I've only known Euchre for 4 years, but it seems like a lifetime. You know, Bob, I'd be amiss if I didn't comment on that jacket. You know that, don't you? Everybody else has had a shot up here. I got to tell you something. I don't know about the rest of you all, but just peering at that jacket, that outfit, does it occur to any of you what his shorts might look like? Keeping in tune with Philip Moore's sponsorship, perhaps they're decorated with Oscar Mayer teeny weeny logos. They warned me, they said this is a family show, so keep it straight. I know about that. We on American Gladiators, who deal in a little glitz, a little spandex, and have a sponsor named Nintendo, know what it's like to break taping in order that everyone gets everything put away so we maintain our PG rating. I'm going to be frank with you. I can stand up here and run around in circles all night, but I'm going to lay it right on the line. I've got to. You see, I've drank 5 or 6 beers and 2 glasses of water, 8 dinner, and unless my bladder's a lot bigger than yours, this is going to be real short. I was surprised. I've never been awarded any kind of award through the course of my career. As far back as I can remember, no one's ever said to me, "You're a nice guy." Let's be honest, I was suspect. I thought maybe something's up here that I don't know about, so I got the program, opened it up, and I checked the column of nice guys just to make sure that Nitschke wasn't on there. I like Ray, and I'm eternally glad to work with him at Miller and have them keep him from hitting me anymore. I got thinking about nice guys around the league. You think about nice guy. What name jumps up at you? Joe Montana, right? I'm so sick of seeing that name, I gotta tell you. The guy up front said, "You're jealous?" Heck yes, I'm jealous. You know, I knew one player, and of course my whole career, that I could look all of you right in the eye and say that he was really a nice guy. His name was Bob Greasy. How many of you remember Bob Greasy, quarterback? I've known Bob a lot of years. I don't know how many of you see him on TV doing college football now. He does that. He has kind of a high voice. I knew him back before the accident, and he... But because my bladder's small and I'm in a hurry, I'm going to tell you one story and I'll make it short. Because this was the only nice guy that I ever knew. And I'm sure that he would be appalled at the fact that I'm getting an award for being a nice guy. And it dates back and ties in with what Susan alluded to a little earlier, the 20 fumbles. I'd like to tell you this one story. It happened when I came out of Syracuse back in 1968. Came in as a rookie to the Miami Dolphins. My college career was pretty good. I was excited. I was going to be a macho football player in the pro ranks. I'll never forget, I walked in my agent's office and said, "Am I a Bear?" He said, "No." I said, "A Packer?" He said, "No." I said, "I know, I'm a Viking." He said, "No, you're a Dolphin." Johnny Cash knows what I'm talking about. He wrote a song called "The Boy Named Sue." You play 10 or 11 years in the NFL with a fish on your head and see if you aren't tough. Ladies and gentlemen, I've taken too long already. I'm delighted to come up here and be part of the festivities. It's always nice to have an award like this. It makes me feel good about what I'm doing these days, particularly with Miller. We have a great group. I mentioned Euchre. There's many more. John Madden. Buckus was with us for a while. The list goes on and on. Your own Bob Lanier from up here. We have a great group of guys, and we have a lot of fun. Much more fun than we ever should be allowed to have for the dollars they pay us in making the commercials. We have a lot of fun doing it. The only drawback is occasionally I have to sit between Euchre and Madden when they're in an argument of baseball versus football. That would test anyone's grit. Delighted to be here and be around Lindy and Fonnie. I've known him for years and years. He and Stephanie have a wonderful family. They're a credit to any community. And you better watch out because I've heard Culver House say the same thing about them living in Tampa. So keep on kidding him. Again, thank you for everything, and I'm going to stick around for a little while and hope to see y'all one-on-one. Thank you.
All right, Tosh, another great throwback. Remember, folks, every Sunday you get the full version, and we certainly appreciate you hitting like and subscribe. Check our shorts out as well. Well, Tosh, another great episode's coming close to an end, but we got to play a little It's Forgotten and I'm Never Forgetting. So how about you? What's forgotten in your world?
Well, I tell you what was forgotten until Mother Nature decided to play a nasty trick was snow.
Yes.
Up to this point. And now, you know what? Mother Nature said, screw you, Eric. I'm going to show you what snow looks like. And yeah, I was not prepared. I thought the numbers kept going down for Saturday. And guess what? We got way more than I thought we were going to.
Yeah, I didn't know what to. Isn't it weird now with. I never know what to expect. Like, I felt like at some point, like the weatherman said you were going to get a foot, you were going to get a foot. Yeah. Now I feel like they say, oh, you're going to get a foot, you get a 2 inches, or it's just never even in the ballpark sometimes. And yeah. I don't know. I didn't know what to expect either. Yeah, it was a pretty good one, Tosh.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely was. And you know what? It looks like winter now. So that's good because it was looking more like, I don't know, something else. But yeah, lots of snow. So I guess I should have not doubted Mother Nature when I said I was going to forget about snow, but now we have it and we're good. Right. So
we'll blame you for the last storm.
There you go. Sounds good. Everybody. My name is Joe Ornstein, and you can email me at, no, I'm just kidding.
Newsa-Cast.
Newsa-Cast.
Newsa-Cast@gmail.com.
So Joe, what do you want to forget?
Well, Tosh, it's what's forgotten. I've got a stat for this. I've never come with a stat. But in 2023, there were more Tommy John surgeries among professional pitchers than in the entire decade of the 1990s.
Wow.
That's nuts, isn't it?
That is crazy. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that, people will say is the contributing reasons and things like that. And who knows? We just have athletes who are throwing harder. They're doing things that making the ball move way more than I've ever seen. And spin rates and all that kind of stuff. Who knows what the contributing factor is? But yeah, there's a lot of Tommy John surgeries. And, the good thing is that technology and the number of surgeries has made it a fairly common surgery, and people are able to come back from it.
Yeah, it's incredible. I've got a buddy, his kid's getting recruited to play, D1 or whatever. And we were talking Tommy John surgery, and I guess you really do come back bigger, stronger, faster. It kind of, after that, it's nuts. I mean, you and I certainly both remember actually Tommy John.
Yeah.
It hasn't seemed that long ago, but now it's almost routine. It's almost like a rite of passage, I feel like, for pitchers to get it. But I don't know, man. Anytime you slice open your body, it just doesn't seem right.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, that's an interesting stat. So we'll have to keep an eye and see what happens this this pro baseball season, which is starting very, very quickly. I think spring training starts within the next couple of weeks for sure. I have not looked at the exact dates, but I'm looking forward to some spring training baseball. I know games start by the end of February, so that's awesome. And
Absolutely.
even though we're not going to be able to listen to Bob this year, but his spirit will be with the Brewers for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Pitchers and catchers report any day now, any day. Well, Tosh, that's something that we're never going to forget is baseball, but I'm sure you have something else that you're never forgetting.
Never going to forget this. You know what? It is 75 days until the NFL draft.
Oh, nice. No way. You've got the number.
I do have the number. So when we're recording this, we're 75 days away from the NFL draft. So I thought I'd, as we're gone for a hot minute, I thought I'd bring that up again because I was sick of seeing the countdown. But now we're starting to get into crunch time, and lots of cool things happening up in Green Bay. We got national music artists coming before and after the draft. It looks like it's going to be a big, good old Wisconsin party. So,
yeah, I hope the weather is great that weekend. I mean, you and I had a lot of fun. I still see that clock. I think about you every single time I see the clock anywhere. I love that. But you're right. I mean, what a cool event. I mean, one, it's incredible what the draft has turned into. I mean, a 3-day Lollapalooza type atmosphere is incredible.
What they're predicting over 300,000 people coming to Green Bay and Northeast Wisconsin. So, yeah, think about the economic boost to our community with that event. That's you don't want to forget that for sure.
No. Are you planning on going? Are you going to go up?
I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. I'll be teaching or working on Thursday and Friday, but we'll see. Maybe Saturday will be a good day to go up.
So did I hear correctly that the Green Bay School District changed? I think they took out, right? Didn't they change took less of something?
I think Green Bay, Ashwaubenon, and De Pere all are starting early. They started earlier this year so they can take off because of safety reasons for kids. Think about busing and all that kind of stuff, trying to get around there. I mean, Ashwaubenon School is not that far from Lambeau, the high school. So, yeah, they all started early this year. They put in a waiver, and they're going to have off during the draft. So imagine being a kid, high school kid or middle school, whatever, hopping on your bike, whatever you're going to do, and heading down to the draft. That'll be a pretty cool experience.
I might hop on my bike and head to the draft.
There you go.
Yes.
It'd be like Forrest Gump. Run, Forrest, run.
Like running.
You'd be biking.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. How about yourself? What are you never forgetting?
Well, Tosh, I'm never forgetting this. It'll probably soon be forgotten. And you talked about it. We got some snow, and Tosh, I did it. I walked right through snowstorm Brenda, Tosh. I got on my fat tire bike early this morning. I made my way to the post office, got the mail ready, took 33,000 steps or 11.3 miles, and I freaking walked right through the teeth of the storm.
There you
Tosh,
go.
I did it. I made it. I beat Mother Nature.
Yeah, this morning probably wasn't too bad on your fat tire.
I got to say, it is a lot of fun to ride in the snow on that thing. The ride home was almost a little too much. When you start getting tire ruts and ice is the worst problem. And walking today with ice you couldn't see it. The snow was light and fluffy, but fat tire in the snow is a lot of fun.
Well, that's good. Yeah, nobody's going to forget about this. I think this was more snow than anybody could have thought was going to happen. So, yeah, lots of snow, good stuff. And speaking of that kind of brings us to the end of the episode.
It does. Another one in the books for us, Tosh. It's a good one. And you and I have we have a number of interviews in the can ready to go. Some pretty cool names, some in the baseball world. So let's go.
There you go.
All right, Tosh, always a hoot. Till next week.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for listening to another great episode of the Newsa-Cast. We'd really appreciate it if you hit up our social pages, subscribe, like, follow, and don't be afraid to engage. Head over to our YouTube channel to get exclusive content like the full interviews and speeches from the past Red Smith banquets.
A huge thank you to Diggstown for all the music in today's episode. Catch a gig or find them on Spotify.